So good morning. Let's get started here. Today's yoga flow class. We're going to start on our backs. Those of you who are doing this as part of the content library, awesome. We're starting on our backs. Those of you who are Zooming along with me today, I'm so glad to have you with us. As we start to settle down into the earth, I'm going to open with today's reading. Today's opening intention is a good one to read at the beginning of class. It comes from the book, A Year of Living Your Yoga by Judith Lassiter. What I bring to my yoga mat is really my whole life at this moment. Mood, thoughts, and beliefs are as much part of yoga practice as our body is. When you step on the mat today, take a deep breath and pay attention to the whole of your practice being. When you do this, you will be more present and less at the mercy of the ever-changing moods, thoughts, and beliefs. When you step on your mat today, take a deep breath and pay attention to the whole of your being practicing. The whole of your being. So just trying to pay attention to ourselves, all bodies today, using that to cultivate a very soothing, very releasing, energizing, whatever verb you're looking for today, whatever kind of description you have for what you're hoping to get out of this time on your mat, let's bring our whole body to that space. So as you rest on the earth, make sure that you are tapping into the breath. Maybe you've started some music in the background. Maybe you're just starting to kind of roll around a little bit on the mat or lay nice and still, whatever is going to feel most comfortable to you, just waking up and being a part of this time together. So may we use this time on our mat today as a time to connect with the breath, with the physical body, starting to take the breath a little fuller, a little stronger. Maybe your hands are resting on your belly. Maybe they're off to the sides with the palms flipped to the ceiling and you're kind of letting the back of your head rest on the earth, chin and neck, kind of shifting around just to open up different sections of the body. If your knees have been bent, you might go ahead and extend your legs nice and long down the mat. It might even feel nice to stretch the arms up and over the head. Maybe lift one foot at a time up off the ground and roll around the ankles. And then take your time to go ahead and bend the knees, walk the heels as close as you can get them to the glutes. Start to let the low back really connect with the earth. Bring your hands down so that they go on either sides of your hips, but then bend at the elbows and point the fingertips straight up to the ceiling. If I was to clap my hands right now, I'd clap right over my belly, and then my hands would open back up. So my elbows are down, pressed into the ground, hips on the floor. When you feel ready, an inhale breath is going to push those elbows into the earth and lift the hips slightly up off the ground, creating some space between the mat and your glutes. Middle of the back is becoming active. It's a pretty big shape for starting off with, so we're only going to hold for one more breath. Next natural inhale lifts these heels up off the ground and then just start to lower down one vertebra at a time. The last thing to hit the mat is going to be those heels. Hands come back down, let them touch the ground. Knees come in towards chest. You might even bring your hands up to give the knees a little hug, grabbing near the shins. Or sometimes it feels nice to put your hands right on the tops of the kneecaps, push them a little bit away from you, and then just kind of stir them in a circle. Go ahead and hug the right knee in towards the chest. Extend that left leg nice and long. Point and flex the toes on that right ankle, maybe even the left ankle gets a little action as well. Hug this right knee slowly off towards the right edge of the mat, just opening along the outer edge of that hip. You might even let your head sway on the floor, closing the eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And then we're just going to welcome this right knee over and across the body. Let gravity release that knee down towards earth. You might allow your right arm to go out nice and long in a T shape if you have space. Of course, if you don't, you can have more of a cactus shape with that arm. It is pretty early on in the practice, so if this twist feels rather big to you today, don't feel forced to go into a shape that doesn't sit well with you. As you feel ready, we'll start to unwind from that twist using hands to help knee back towards center. Maybe give it one more hug, perhaps even walking this left leg up. We'll switch the grip on the right side to elevate that foot towards the ceiling. Point and flex the toes just as you've done before. And then as you feel ready, this lifted right foot is going to come over, rest itself on top of the left knee. Allow that right knee to just kind of push away here for a moment. So don't lift the left foot up off the floor just yet. Push the right knee slightly away from the body. Start to feel a little expansion through the hip flexor. Perfect. Then we're going to allow this right foot just to kind of rock slightly over to that left side. Arms might go to T or cactus. And then just take your time, slowly starting to bring these knees back up to center. We still got this right leg on top. Slide it so that now you crisscross at the knees, and then allow your knees to come up towards your chest. Hands may come towards the shins, add just a little gentle pressure. Some of you might feel good grabbing towards the ankles and hugging these heels back towards your hips. That's a pretty big stretch, so if that doesn't sit well with you just yet, that's all right. Don't push yourself into a shape that might feel a little too big. Perfect. Starting to settle this back down, we'll bring our feet back into the earth. Set your arms for that bridge again. So we bent at the elbows. Put your arms on the ground so that your fingertips are pressing up towards the ceiling. Heels walk close to the glutes. And then give yourself a nice lift here to put yourself back into that same bridge. Gaze is up towards the ceiling or your eyes are closed. Elbows engaged into the ground really allows us to get into the middle of the back. Thoracic spine. Use your next natural inhale to lift these heels, lower down one vertebra at a time. Hands maybe slide their way back to the earth as well. Last thing to hit the mat is the heels. And then we'll start on the other side. Left knee starts to move in towards the chest. Right leg goes long, just as we did before. Pointing and flexing these toes, letting the ankles have a little movement. And then you'll start to pull that left knee off towards the left side of the mat. Focusing on keeping that right hip nice and square down into the earth. Release that inner thigh, outer hip, just letting everything have a little bit more space. And then we'll help this over and across the body, just as you did before, allowing gravity. I gotta shift a little bit, I got a wall next to me. Allowing gravity to just have a little more pull to bring that knee down. Opposite arm might extend out. Your gaze is probably up towards the ceiling or maybe even in the direction of that bent knee. I don't know that I would turn my head completely in the opposite direction just yet. That's a pretty big twist. We're still pretty early in this practice. Remembering to allow a little release for the low back, the outer hip, especially those who found ourselves maybe sitting a little bit more than we'd like. Start to bring that knee back to center. Give it one more little hug here. And then you might slide the other foot up the mat as you lift this foot to the sky. Give yourself that hamstring talk just for a moment. And then we'll bend at this knee just as we did before. Create that figure four. Push away this left knee, maybe physically with the hand or just letting the knee do the work. Opening that hip flexor. And then as you feel ready, we'll start to kind of roll this over, just as we we did before. Left foot starts to fall towards the ground, a little twist in that figure 4 shape. Remembering that at any time you start to feel a weird pinch or tweak or the back doesn't like this, just, come back up. Don't take it so far. Know your limits, know your boundaries. Pay attention to those. Make those observations in your body and know when it's okay to push and when it is time to draw back. Start standing that knee back up to center, and then you're just going to let this knee slide further across the top, crisscrossing at the knees, welcoming this up. Maybe hands go towards those shins just to add a little gentle pressure. For others, maybe your hands are down closer towards the ankles, and you're hugging those ankles towards the hips. Perfect. From here, unwind those legs. Instead of going straight into our bridge, we're just going to unwind and let our feet look up to the ceiling. Inhale, breath stretches the hands up and over the head, opposite direction, making yourself look like a letter L. Exhale, breath brings hands on either sides of the hips, activates a little bit through those abdominals. Knowing that when you make that exhale breath, head can come up off the floor, giving you somewhat of a crunching shape if that feels okay. And just continue to move here with your breath. Exhaling and inhaling. Two more. Last one. Go back to letter L and stay there. Point and flex toes, bend the knees a little bit if your hamstrings feel a little angry. And then we'll bring knees fully down into chest, initiate a little rocking motion. And then we're going to move ourselves up to seat, just for a couple poses before we get on to hands and knees. So rock yourself up or roll from right to left and bring yourself to a comfortable seat. Our seat is going to go straight into cobbler's pose or bound angle. And just see where you can find yourself today. This may not be heels pulled quite as tight into the groin area. You might be creating just a little bit of space here. And then just give yourself a little time to let the neck get involved in this practice. Now, depending on where you started in this bound angle shape, I'm going to turn sideways so that you can see what I'm doing. But we're going to bring our feet just slightly out, like maybe a foot or so away from the groin area, and take ourselves into a little fold. So think about those hip creases, spine is nice and tall, and just kind of collapse down towards your toes. We're going to take about 3 breaths here. So your knees are nice and comfortable out to the side, your spine is nice and long, creating some space between your chin and your chest. And then use your next inhale breath to bring yourself up nice and tall. Now I want you to take your right hand over in the direction of your right knee or your right shin. Lift your left hand up towards the ceiling and add a little bit of a twist here in this bound angle. Inhale, breath, hands come back up and around, switch sides. Up and over, adding that same twist. Inhale, breath, up and back to center. One more fold right down through the middle. All right, friends, take your time to bring your chest back up. Walk these heels in just a little closer. One more breath, nice and tall. Let the natural gravity allow the knees to fall closer to the earth. And then we'll use our next full inhale just to stand these knees up tall. Give them a nice little hug here. And then move yourself onto hands and knees. Wrists you want to bring a blanket into your practice, it can always go right here on your mat. Give yourself a little extra comfort underneath those knees. Cat-cows immediately finding their way in, belly dropping down on your inhale breath. Rounded back, rounded spine. On the exhale breath, just take your time. Next time you get to that angry cat spine, go ahead and sit the hips all the way back onto your heels. Exhale. Inhale, breath. Drop your forearms to the ground. Pull your chest through. Push weight into the hands. Lift the chin. Exhale, breath. Round the back, round the spine. Start to sit hips back towards heels. Inhale, breath. Drop the forearms. Slide the chest through, weight into the hands, lift the chin, exhale, breath, round the back, round the spine, take it back to those heels. You know the rhythm now, so give yourself another 2 or 3 more of these, creating a little bit more dance in your cat-cow. Last one at your own pace. Connecting your inhale and your exhale, really being full aware of what's happening in your body. Back up to that neutral spine table when you're ready. Right hand extends nice and long, straight forward up the mat. Add the left toes, long body. We can stay right here in this shape, or you might choose to bend this back leg. Right hand might even reach back to make connection with the foot. If that connection feels too big, don't feel challenged to take it this morning. Just give yourself the space right here. Starting to bring yourself away from that connection. Hand goes back to floor, leg is still lifted. Take this extended leg, you've got left leg extended, step it all the way over to the right edge of the mat. Look over that right shoulder, give yourself a nice stretch down the outer edge of the body. C curve of the spine. Beautiful gaze over that shoulder. Perfect. Bring this back to the middle of the mat. Go ahead and lift onto toes, hips lift high, downward facing dog. Walk it out. All right, beautiful work. Knees drop down. Let's go to the other side. Opposite hand extends. Opposite leg. Take yourself into that bird dog point pose just for a breath. And then if you want to add the options to reach, make connections, it's a little tricky to do this and talk to you. And I have a mirror in my practice room, so sometimes that throws me off too. Just take your time, take whatever shape feels good to you today, remembering that if the challenge is there and you want it, go for it. If the challenge isn't there and you want to kind of wing it on something else, that's fine too. Making connections with the hands back to earth, letting go of that foot if you've been holding on. Toes move down towards the other side of the mat, so we're stepping over this time towards the left edge, looking over that left shoulder. Side body gets a nice, good outer stretch. And then we'll bring that foot back to mat, downward facing dog. You know where to go. Toes curl under, hips lift up. Big upside down V, walk it out. Small steps with the feet, start walking them forward. Let's get up here towards the front of our mat. Hanging a forward fold, maybe even bending the knees to kind of flatten out the back of the spine there. Back sides of the legs might get some open labor happening here. And then inhale halfway up, long spine. Exhale, float back to the floor. Inhale, sweep these hands out or straight forward, lifting up towards the ceiling. And then exhale back to heart center. Let's take it a couple more. Just half sun salutations. Waking up, greeting the sun. Halfway up. Exhale down. Plant the feet, reach those hands high to the sky, watching the pelvis to eliminate that sway back. Exhale, hands to heart. Last one at this same pace of breath. Maybe even trying to do it with the eyes closed. Make it a little bit of a moving meditation as you fully connect to all parts of the body. Settling hands back to heart on the exhale when you feel ready. And then we'll add on this time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold, hinging at those hip creases. Hands go down towards earth. Inhale up halfway, long spine, crown of the head straight forward. Exhale, fold, hands touch the mat. Feet step back. Nice full plank if you're feeling the strength in the backside body. Always watching for this big sway. We never want to see those hips drop way down. So you give yourself almost a cat lift right up through the shoulder blades. Beautiful work. Knees touch the ground. Easy down first time. Elbows stay nice and close to the side body. One cobra. Exhale down. This next cobra, I want you to glue your toes into the earth and see if when you lift, your hands can just take a little peek up off the floor. Really gluing the pelvis into the earth, low back is engaged. Then drop these hands back a little deeper, closer to the kind of the breastbone. Elbows angled back. Drop the knees to the ground. Curl your toes under. Gaze goes at the mat. Push to knees. And then lift your hips. If you've done that with the correct alignment, hopefully your low back doesn't talk to you. You're not feeling any anger in the lumbar spine if you've got nice alignment. If we get lazy coming up from the floor to knees or to a plank, that's when we can start to make our shoulders and our backs really upset in those sun salutations. Small steps or a large leap. Feet move back here to our hands, half lifting when the breath feels ready. Back to standing. Hands coming down and looking for the heart. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Hands look for the ground, feet step back. Vinyasa of choice when you're ready. Exhaling down. Inhaling for up dog or cobra perhaps. And then transitioning, just like you did. Use those knees if you need to on the floor. Get yourself back to that same down dog. Small steps or a large leap, feet come to hands. Halfway lifting when you feel ready. Take your time. Exhale down. Plant the feet, number 11. Toes straight forward up the mat. Hands lift tall. Exhale to the heart. Get a nice sturdy stance in the legs. Full inhale breath. Nice release of exhale. Try that again. All right, adding a few movements with the legs this time. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Halfway lift. Exhale down. Right foot steps back. Right knee drops itself into earth. As you're ready, inhale breath. Sweeps the hands up. Exhale breath. Takes the hands down. Right hand stays on earth. Let your right toes flatten into the mat. Take your left hand as if you were going to pull back a bow and arrow and just stop. Let that go back down to the ground. This time, pull it all the way up. Pull the string all the way back. Open the hand up. Bending at that elbow again. Do it in reverse. Hand comes back to earth. Curl the toes under on this back foot. Lift the knee up off the ground. Do the same thing. Hold the bow and arrow. Take it back to earth. Pull it all the way open this time. Back to earth. Of course, that back knee can always still be on the ground. This time, see if you can take the back toes one little oomph forward, and then bring the hands up. It's a big crescent stance. See if we can take that today. As you feel ready, hands that are in the sky are going to cartwheel to the earth. Front foot steps to the back of the mat. Space for vinyasa if you'd like. Otherwise, you can just join me. I'm going to hang out in down dog. Take about 3 breaths here. Knowing that child's pose is always here too. If you need to drop to your knees here for a moment, feel free. No judgment about how we're feeling in our own bodies today. Small steps with the feet or a large leap. Bring them back up here towards your hands. Start thinking about that half lift, your long extended spine, folding down towards earth. Inhale, hands reach back up, look for the ceiling, and then bring them and settle them into the heart. Sturdy foundation in those legs, full breath in, and release. Hands float back up on your next inhale. Exhale, fold. Half lifting like you did before, long spine. Hands look for ground. This time our left foot steps back, left knee hits the ground. Next inhale, sweep the hands up. Exhale, hands go down. Left foot looks for the inside of this front foot, while the right hand pulls your bow back halfway. Exhale it back down. This time open it all the way. Exhale it back down. Curl toes under, lift the foot up, or the knee rather, up off the ground. Halfway. Back down. All the way. Hand comes back down. Back toes might shift in, just one little scoot. Inhale, breath, watching this front knee in alignment with your ankle. Bring yourself up for that crescent lunge. Sink in. Nice, sturdy, controlled breath here. Next time you exhale, we'll cartwheel these hands down towards the earth. Step the foot back, full vinyasa option here. What that means is you can take yourself from plank, maybe down through chaturanga dandasana to upward facing dog. Or you can put a little cobra in there, something a little more mild. You decide. Knowing also that the option to just drop to knees, maybe sink to child's pose for a couple breaths, might feel like a natural stopping point, a natural break for this practice. You decide. All right, if you've been in child's pose, meet me in downward facing dog. Steps with the feet to bring them back up here to your hands. Finding a long spine, half lift. Exhale down, hands reach tall, inhale breath. Exhale this to heart, sturdy, strong foundational breath right here. Bringing it all to the mat. Inhale breath, brings hands above head. We're gonna let them stay connected at prayer. Exhale, sink, bend your knees. Hands come slightly out in front of you. See if we can still make connection here. Quick peek down at the toes. Make sure you can still see them. Got some weight into the heels. Exhale and fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale down. Right foot steps back. Right heel spins just enough enough for warrior one. Hands shift up. Exhale, let your chest fall forward towards this front knee. Nice natural bend, hands sweep back. Inhale, bring the hands back up, chest back up. 2 more. Match this rhythm with your breath. Shifting this back foot, open yourselves into warrior two. From your warrior two, take your front hand, flip it towards the ceiling, reverse warrior, leaning away from that front knee. Back to warrior two, front elbow is going to drop towards this knee. This right hand actually is going to come all the way forward towards this front foot, and then you're going to do that same bow and arrow. So take this right hand, open it halfway, close it back down. Open it all the way, so come up halfway, and then open it the rest of the way. Stay here, long spine, really pushing just as much through that back right heel as you are through your left. Let this hand that's in the sky start to bring bicep towards ear, long side wall. And then hands spiral to the earth. Front foot steps back, downward facing dog, walk it out. Left leg lifts high to the sky. Open the left hip by just bending this left knee. Extend that leg long. And then see if we can bring that left foot down into the earth. Walk it out. All right, beautiful work. Right foot lifts high. Right knee bends. Same thing here. Extend. And then bring this right foot all the way forward towards your right thumb. Take your time. Spin on that left heel enough to bring it down into the earth. And you're ready to come up for warrior one on the other side. Remembering that warrior one's got nice square hips. Hands reach tall. Exhale, fold. 2 more. Making this nice and controlled, really following the pace of your own breath. And then just that natural twist of our back foot to look for warrior two. Now when I get into this, I feel I got to make little adjustments. You do the same, just to get those hips to square off nice. And then find yourself into that warrior two shape. Front hand is reaching nice and forward, back hand's extending behind. Taking this front hand, one reverse. One warrior two again. And then we'll drop this front elbow down. Hand reaches up enough to spiral all the way down towards the floor and start to pull it halfway up. Back down. All the way up this time. Put as much power in that hand as you would if you were trying to lift a weight. Kind of a yoga with weights routine here. Holding that shape. Extending out through those fingers. Maybe the bicep wants to come by the ear to add a little more longevity to your shape. And then we'll just let this hand continue to spiral down towards the earth. Both hands coming to the ground. Spin on those back toes. Front foot steps back. Downward facing dog. Walk it out. Right foot lifts high to the sky. Three-legged dog. Bend the right knee. Open that right hip. Right foot comes back down. Let it find its place on the mat. Left foot lifts. Open the hip. Left foot goes back down. Take your time. And we'll just use that same step through. So your left foot lifts. Exhale, step it up. And then bring the back foot up to meet your front foot. This time, separate the feet about hip distance, maybe a little wider. Bend through the knees, ragdoll pose. Head is nice and heavy down through the middle. Swaying a little side to side here. Now, adding just a little bit of movement, I want you to let your hands drop down from that ragdoll, and you're gonna just kind of sway in your feet until you can walk yourself on your mat until you're turned to the side. And when you get onto the mat, allow yourself a little space to start widening your feet and kind of swaying a little bit right and left. Hands might be matching and going with you, making sure you're paying attention to knees matching toes. If the knees want to turn out, the toes are going to follow. This is obviously a great place for blocks if you want to bring those down into the practice, or you can be up a little higher and have your chest up. Get to a place where it feels nice to come to a pause. Head is heavy down through the center. Give yourself a strong half lift, coming up halfway and dropping down. Inhale, breath, hands come up above the head, and then just let them slide back down to a 5-pointed star. Exhale. Feel the power of your breath moving in and out. Take your time to let your hands drop down towards hips, turning at the heels, bringing them in towards one another. Take one little sink into a goddess shape. And then similar to our bound angle twist that we took earlier, we're going to take ourselves from this goddess and add just a slight turn towards your right wall. Back to center, left wall. Now, if this bothers your shoulders too much, you can drop hands down. Let them kind of just move here at your legs. And we're going to take it one more time each direction. If you haven't already twisted back to that original side, go for it. Watch your knees, make sure they're still speaking to your toes. And then we'll bring this back to center. Hands can come back up to that traditional goddess shape. And then 5-pointed star. Extend the arms, extend the legs, and then just kind of tip here a little bit right and left. Now working out tensions in your legs, a little bit more freedom for the side body. And then we'll let those arms relax, let them come down. Heel toe this back underneath of you. And then just bring yourself to build mountain. I'm going to keep my feet just with a little bit of space between, maybe softball or fist size shape, right in between my feet. Hands coming towards my heart, eyes closing. And then I'm going to build my stability from the earth up. Letting gravity pull my heels and toes down into the ground. Building next onto my ankles, calves. Lifting my knees slightly up towards the ceiling engages my quads. I feel my pelvis nice and flat across the front, allowing my back to stay in line. Shoulders might lift towards your ears, maybe you settle them down, really thinking about that crown lifting up strong. And then you're gonna let your hands fall away from your heart, bring them down towards the sides of your body if they aren't already. And then release the tension in your shoulders. Let all the stability move towards your right leg. As you inhale, I want you to lift your left leg, left knee, and your arms up above your head. As you exhale, arms go down, toe takes a tap. 3 more. A little more dynamic balance today. Last one. Next time we're going to add on. Inhale, knee lifts, hands to heart. Exhale, turn the knees slightly out to the side. Let it sit down on top of the opposite knee and slide into your seated posture. Now realizing the depth of this pose is going to be completely up to you. We're going to do it twice. Twice. So maybe those of you watching me just saw me kind of fall over. We're going to do it twice, so just take your time. Maybe your first one is a little more controlled, a little more relaxed. Not the most difficult version of the pose you could take. Use your next inhale breath to ease out. Feet come back, make connection with the floor. Go ahead and build that same mountain, maybe even closing the eyes. Thinking about toes connected to our heels, ankles, calves, building on up from there. Hands slide down, let them meet near the hips, and we'll take that moving balance again. As you inhale, weight shifts to left leg, right knee lifts. Back down. Toe tap. Last one. Next time knee comes up, hands come to heart. Allow the knee to turn slightly out to the side and then start to sink in. Same figure four, maybe flexing this top foot a little bit more. Opposite side. Perfect. Use your next inhale breath to stand back up nice and tall. Feet come apart, maybe even a little wider than your traditional mountain. Arms reach up tall, make yourself an X shape. As you exhale, bend the knees, sweep the hands through the middle, head falls down, ragdoll pose. Sway it right, sway it left. The next time you sway towards your right side, let your left hand look towards that right ankle, right shin, right foot. See if your right hand can open for that half bow and arrow. Close the door. See if you can open it for a full bow. Hand might need to come up a little higher on this leg depending on how that twist feels in your body. You can be low or a little higher. Perfect. Take your time. Ease that all back down. Sway to the other side. Half bow. So same leg that you're leaning towards. That arm makes the half bow. Back down. Full bow and arrow. Open it up. Ideally, this wrist is coming straight out of the shoulder. We don't really want it back behind you, either in front of the shoulder or in direct line. Let the head and neck stay somewhat neutral. Don't kink it up. Slow that hand that's been in the air back down. And then sway back to center. Give yourself just a breath or two in that ragdoll, or maybe even letting your fingers kind of slide on the mat. All right, friends, take your time. Either slow motion roll up one vertebra at a time, or maybe a half lift. Back to standing pose, hands coming down, looking for the heart. Feet will come back underneath of you. Stand tall. I said I give you 2 rounds of that figure 4. The next round is going to be quite easier. So I would suggest, I told you you could go further, but we're kind of running close on time, so I don't want you to do that. option to maybe add a couch in your room, a bed, a wall, or you're just going to take it easy with your hands straight out in front of you. If you have something to put your hands on like a wall, that would be a great option. Pick a side, doesn't really matter which foot you start on, and just slide down whatever available surface. I got a wall over here too, I guess I could use. If you don't have a wall or a surface to put your hands on, just stretch them straight out in front of you and act like you're sitting in a pretend chair holding on to something. You just got about 2 breaths here. Perfect, bring that back up. Switch out your legs. If you've been holding on to the wall, go again, same wall, slow down, back into that chair. Really just allowing those hips to get one more final piece of love. Hopefully you got a good glow today, a little glisten. I myself need to turn on the fan in my room today. It was a little heat built. All right, start to bring your hands back in, stand up, get off of those legs. Now those of you who've already been close to a wall or a chair, feel free to use that to get yourself into a squat. If you want to slide down the wall, feel free to do so. If you're out in the middle of the room, you want to just take yourself down into a knees together squat or more of a yogic squat, whatever version feels best. Today we've done a lot of things with wide legs in kind of yogic squat type positioning that may or may not feel very good to you depending on how open your hips are. Squats are just really good for our ankles, muscles of the feet. When done properly, they can be pretty therapeutic for your back as well. And then just start moving to the earth. If you've been using a wall, that's okay. Just take yourself slowly down that wall. You can be wherever you are in space. You can be on your mat, somewhere else in the room. That's okay. We're getting to the part of the practice where things should certainly feel like less work. So just start easing yourself down towards the floor. If you want any other additional props for Savasana, blocks under your knees, blanket under your head, feel free to reach for those things. And then just meet the floor however your body would like. I oftentimes need my knees to my chest right when I hit the floor, or windshield wipering motion feels really nice to my low back. If any of those feel like they would make sense to you, feel free. If you need a little bit more inversion, feel free to lift the legs to the sky, move yourself to the wall for legs up the wall, put a block under your back. However you'd like to start closing this practice, it's going to be fine with me. I'm keeping it very minimal for my body today. I don't feel like I need any more twists. We've done a lot of twists today. I don't really feel like I need any inversions. I'm keeping it pretty minimal, just knees to my chest, maybe some windshield wipering. And then I'm going to start to settle into a long body. Feet fully extended down the mat. Putting my heels on the earth and turning toes towards the outer edges. It might feel nice to let the hands stretch up over your head for a breath or two, just to really make the body nice and long. Of course, knowing that if other postures are still speaking to you, feel free to embrace those. But we're going to start to find conclusion in this practice today. Letting everything sift and settle back into place in what we call Shavasana or Savasana. This time to create a safe place. For the body to feel the full rewards of our asana, of our physical practice today. For us to create a little quiet in our physical body and in our minds. To let the magic of this practice sweep over us. Letting us once more become connected to that breath and the whole body that was brought to the mat today. Oftentimes we sign up for these flow classes or do flow classes because our physical body is what's speaking the loudest. We want to move, we want to bend, we want to stretch. Just make sure you use these final moments of our rest today as a chance to quiet the mind and allow that whole body to take advantage of the practice that we've laid before it. If you've had music playing in your home, take time to turn it down or soften the tone. If you have the luxury of being able to hear nature, feel free to turn the music off and just listen to the noises you might hear outside of your space. Let things become quiet. Staying in this shape as long as you might need. I'll bring you back when our time has concluded here for this practice. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Allowing some gentle, easy movements to come back into the body as you feel ready. It might be something as simple as opening and closing the hands. Allowing the back of the head to stay on the earth, but the nose sweep right to left. And then the next natural movements that you take are going to depend on how you settled into your savasana. If your legs have been long, you'll probably bend your knees, bring them in a little closer to the chest, maybe roll around a little bit on the back before maybe using your right arm as a pillow and rolling to rest on your right hand side. Allow your body to slowly bring you back to a seated posture when you're ready. Hands coming into the heart, perhaps palm to palm. Nice tall spine. Remembering that our whole self was brought to the mat today, and we brought with it whatever mood, whatever anxieties, whatever tensions, physical or mental, that might have been in the body. We brought it all to the mat. Hopefully you use this time as a way to move and breathe through your whole self. Today's final reading comes from the book of 5-Minute Daily Meditations. It's entitled Back to Center. Cultivate a habit of balance. Notice when you're carried away from your center by extremes of rage or excitement. With the support of the breath, come back to your balanced middle point. Cultivate a habit of balance. Using your breath today to grab one more nice, sturdy inhale. An easy release on your exhale. I greatly appreciate you making this time for yourself, not only your physical body, but for your mind and spirit as well, to move and breathe with us here at SIFT. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.